Hello and welcome back to Beyond the Veil background information. Today we're doing a video about their culture and we're going to be discussing the children of Echidna. It's only going to be a brief little bit and I don't know if it will explain too much to you, but I'm hopeful you'll find it interesting. And we'll start with just a quote that links to it and then I'll just discuss it. It won't be very long, so hopefully you'll find it interesting, and it does link into the Echidnae species that we were talking about in our creature profiles this month. I wish our reproduction was that easy, but our kind are so close to our demonic parents that the genes we carry hold the demonic shape-shifting abilities. We can't even tell if we'll have eggs or live young, but it's worse if we have chimera offspring. There's a reason the Veil Intersex Society used them as a symbol. My three-headed dog brother had it better. Quote from Faithful Servant. As we talked about the Echidnae in our species portion this month, we are going to discuss something that could be covered in the species section, but also would be too confusing within the relevant sections. So this is what we're going to talk about. 1. Who Typhon and Echidna are in the Veil. 2. What kinds of offspring the Echidnae actually produce. And 3. What position within Veil society these beings often have. But firstly, I'll point out something very important to understand. The Serpents in general are thought of very badly within the Veil, and the Echidnae even more so. Therefore, any children born to them that are not Echidnae will try to hide any of their relations to this kind of species. Now, I will say Chimera in the Veil encompasses more than just what we have here, but we'll discuss them in a species profile later. But first, we'll talk about who Echidna and Typhon were in the Veil. Well, in Veil mythology, the pair were both angels in heaven. Their names unknown, but it was known that when Lucifer introduced the idea of gender to the many angels, the pair both experienced it, but did not experience each other at first. Now it must be said, in Veil mythology, Cerberus, Orpheus, and Naberius were cloud brothers with Typhon, and refer to themselves as siblings, though Echidnae can produce these beings. So the original dogs are not their children, but companions. Typhon's job in heaven was to guard the gates with his brothers, but where they were ordered to keep Lucifer out, 3 of the brothers stepped away, unwilling to fight Lucifer's army, when they all wanted to be able to have a place outside of just standing by the pearly gates all the time. The only one to actually fight was Typhon, who spun around and pulled the gates open, turned into a dragon-like creature, pulling them open and letting in Lucifer's army to battle. Typhon and Echidna joined the battle on Lucifer's side, and during this battle the pair saw each other for the first time and fell for one another. Both were cast down into hell with the others, but upon landing in the fiery pit, ahead of seeing to Lucifer and repledging their obedience to him, found each other first. It was during the time that they were helping Lucifer secure the domain of hell, with Typhon helping to keep the infernal fires going. He and Echidna developed what could only be described as a romantic and loving relationship. Such things were forbidden by Lucifer in the beginning, and so he punished them, chaining Typhon down into the hottest part of the pit, and Echidna to one of the passages from the Veil into hell, the only entrance into hell without a hell mouth. Here, in this cave, Echidna would devour souls that came by, and began to produce offspring from her coupling with Typhon. Some suggest that she was able to maintain his sperm inside her and use it when she wanted, raising and loving each of her children. These children Lucifer would actually call their devil children, helping raise them and making sure they were birthed in the Veil so that they could live upon earth and in hell too. Thanks to this, Echidna's children grew up and escaped into the Veil, along with the other demon children, breeding with others and the various species already out there. So now you know about them. In the Veil, it is believed that for Typhon daring to open the gates, he was so traitorous as a being that his name is rarely spoken of except regarding someone who has completely betrayed another, and though male Echidnae are called Typhon, they are incredibly rare. Then with Echidna, because she loved the traitor devotedly and yet was manipulated by Lucifer, as it is believed, to have children to cause chaos and devour humans, she is considered Lucifer's servant, as are all Echidnae, and the stereotype of them being pure evil still has not faded in the Veil. Now, children-wise, they come under the following categories, but each will be discussed in their own species narrative wherever they fit. But these are just the variety of children that the Echidnae can produce if they pair with a Typhon. 1. Multi-headed hound, including the Orpheus type, which is 2 heads, Naberius type, which is 3 heads, and the Cerberus type, which is 3 heads and snake tails or mane. These are quite common to produce with a 2 in 10 likelihood. Serpents, These include the Medusae and Gorgons. Medusae can turn beings into stone and undergo a transformation. Gorgons are born that way. Another typhon or echidnae, Ladon, a dragon-like being, actually counted as Pythene along with the Colchian dragon, and general serpent types with the one human half and other snake half, including those termed snake-footed, and these are their most common children, with every third child being within this type. Hydra, a multiple-headed serpentine being that is not included amongst other serpents, as it only starts to develop extra heads as it ages, and is often thought to be more of a cross between an eel and a sea serpent, and are often only born once in a generation. Lemmiae, these include sea serpents, but mostly the Scylla types, which are often thought of as just the water variant of the Dracaniae Echidnae, though sea serpents are often counted as a separate group due to the links to Dagon. They are not as common as the other serpents, born with a 1 in 10 likelihood. Chimeras, in this case the generic lion-goat-dragon-snake hybrid. The chimera of this form is born to at least every echidnae, and all children of echidnae carry the gene to create chimera of a different sort, which will be described separately because of how it affects the veil. Human, quite common with about 2 in 10 being born, and though they have no powers and are mortal, they carry the genes for chimera too. Monstrous beasts. These are quite rare too, but include the Aphon giant eagle, the Nemean lion, which is a larger-than-life lion with an impenetrable hide that sometimes includes scales and horns, often mistaking it for its chimera sibling, and the wild giant boars that eat people. These can be more common from breeding with older echidnae over 200 or 300 years. Sphinx. Similar to both the echidnae in being a winged lion with a woman's head, the Sphinx is sometimes compiled with the chimera and the manticore, but is a separate being with a male form, female form, wingless forms, and even some forms with ram heads. But they are exceptionally rare too, with one born in every generation, just about. Thirdly, for each of these listed above, we'll just discuss their position in the veil now, because it is very dependent on what they are. 1. The multiple-headed dogs have always had a reputation of being good guard animals, and though often linked with hellhounds, they have a limited level of respect, but are considered amongst the reformer groups. They are not considered anything other than demons. 2. Serpents used to be respected, and though they have not been associated with any of their previous activities in over 100 years, they are all placed at the bottom of the pile with echidnae, given no respect whatsoever, and often finding jobs impossible to gain. 3. Hydra tend to be kept more comfortably within the veil. They are rare and have shown more encouraging signs outwardly in the veil, as being unlike their demonic heritage, with several designers, makeup artists, and whatnot being amongst them because of their ability to see from varying sides. They also include a famous supermarket chain started by Hydra that are the go-to place for everyone around the veil, and simply called Many Heads. 4. Lemmiae. They are put down along with the serpents, and often do not tend to even try and show themselves to society, sticking to coastal towns, running hotels, and hiding their natures. 5. Chimeras. These will be discussed later, as their position in the veil is made awkward by certain aspects of how their three-part genetics show themselves. Humans. As long as no one knows they're the kids of an echidna, they do extremely well. Monstrous beasts. They are rare, and like the Lemmiae tend to keep themselves away from everyone else. They just do not tend to interact, and often they are just viewed as wild beasts. And the Sphinx. They are rare, but despite the vicious Sphinx of Thebes, they are held in high regard as guardians like their canine siblings, but are often found in jobs involving legal matters, with many working as the legal advisor for various celebrities, and a well-known singer in the veil is open about being a Sphinx. So that's the brief of the children of the Echidnae and how they are treated in the veil, and why the term children of Echidnae can be a good and bad term for them. I hope you found that interesting. Thank you. Bye.